And so he doesn't like losing. You can see it in his face. He wouldn't like being in that situation where he's playing for India and India's losing. So I think multi-generational talents that come into the sport. And we've been fortunate enough in India that we've had. But the guys who actually make it to the top, Liam, are not the guys who necessarily go through the traditional pathway system that's there. The guys who make it to the top are the ones who dominate these systems. That kind of character is always going to be required in a sport like we saw in the previous one. I think as an Indian, we feel like it's unacceptable for India to have that kind of a game.
Beautiful. All right, mate. Third week, across the seam, chatting all things cricket. It's been an interesting week. We chatted on the last episode about we're moving to LA, and we played at the Pomona at the LA, the Knight Riders cricket ground. I always get that words right or wrong. But it was an interesting pitch because it was so brand new. I think it's only been laid 18 weeks. And normally on a wicket it takes to bed, it's potentially over. You have that wicket in the ground over a year before you play proper cricket on it. But they did an amazing job getting that together. What it did make for was some exciting cricket games in terms of not high scoring, but it always got down to the wire. There was always 15 or 10 off that last over. But we had people who batted well on it. You had Rovman Powell who smashed the ball all around. You had Kieron, Pollard. You had young Asai Muknamala score on it. You had Sanjay, SFU legend, youngster coming through. So there was a way to score runs on it. In terms of the cricket there, I mean, there's so much stuff going out about the scores and who did what. But what I want to pick your brain on is how would you bat on a wicket that is not batter friendly? How do you go about that? Because I think when I was looking at some of the players, they got stuck. Whether do I play it I'm going to wait for a bad ball and everything in a good line and length, I'm just going to respect. But then if you do that, the balls add up, the dots add up, the pressure adds up. So in terms of you've been an orange cap holder, you've played around the world, you've been successful in many different wickets. As a batter, how would you navigate that?
Well, first you need to put things into context here. I think when you think about the way cricket's played right now, people actually play cricket hyper aggressively, right? They try and front end the batting and the bulk of the scoring in the front end, and then the back end seems to taper off. At least in the recent past, that's how cricket's being played. And today, the strike rate matters so much more than your average or the number of runs you score in T20 cricket. And so today, impact is such a big thing. So today, when you look at those wickets that we played in Pomona, those are not bad wickets. Those were challenging wickets for a batter, right? They were a lot more in favor to the bowlers than about to the batters. So the batters needed to dig in a little bit, and so we saw that happening few and far in between. At some times, you need to be able to let go of the whole narrative of strike rate for the sake of what's actually happening here and now, and that's what we talk about when we say about playing the conditions. The conditions are going to dictate what's the best way to approach batting on that particular day. Yes, cricket is played a certain way, and I felt like you would thrive if you played traditional T20 cricket over there. I say traditional T20 cricket because you had to go back to the way, or you had to go back to the means of loading up the scoring and the bulk of the scoring in the back end, where you have wickets in hand in the last 6-7 overs. So you get off to a good start. You set a solid foundation. It could be anywhere between 40 to 50 runs would be a solid foundation on that track. And once you do that, you kind of push through the middle overs and you try and go to the over 13, 12 or 13, where you have about 6 or 7 wickets in hand. And that's when you go hard after the bowlers. Even in the game that, say, Rovman meant, hammer and tongs, he came in a situation where there were about 6 or 7 wickets to go. And he didn't, there were wickets in hand when he went out there and played aggressively. That's what propelled his team, that solid foundation, what propelled his team to win that game by a couple of overs. I think that's how you want to approach batting on that kind of a wicket. I think we've come to Dallas right now. I think in Dallas we've seen that the wicket's really conducive to playing big shots and front ending the bulk of the scoring. But in Pomona and I think for the day games in Oakland, you had to back end. You had to get the bulk of the scoring done in the back end. That's what I saw, and I felt like I learned while I was watching these guys play. And when I observed if there were players playing like that, and I saw that those are the guys who are actually doing well. Like even some of the innings that innings that Steve Smith played. He scored almost a little bit more than a run a ball.
Back to back,
take
right?
Yeah, back to back, and took them to victory. And that was quick learning and application of what the conditions are allowing you to do. The beauty about cricket is you can only play the way the conditions allow you to play. You can try and go the other way. You can try, but it won't necessarily work all the time.
Yeah, I'll talk about bowling on a wicket like that shortly. But if you knew you were about to play on a wicket that wasn't amazing, that you couldn't always put your hands through it, you could always not count on the length of like the ball's going to keep a certain like bounce. How would you prep in a net session or with your coaches to bat on a wicket that's a little bit variable? Would you just go about it normally? I want to hit balls. I want to feel good, because sometimes if you're in a net where it's like moving around, you're not going to feel good anyway. You want to feel good going into the middle, right? So how would you prep yourself for that?
I would prep myself from the perspective of what is the thing that would mitigate me from feeling good about my own game on a wicket that was difficult. The most basic thing that you need to do on a wicket like that is to rotate the strike, and to see, okay, where are the areas that I can rotate the strike? Because on a wicket like this, you'll have people coming in a little bit more. So where are the gaps that are actually open and available? So I would say I'd have to watch the ball, I have to play the ball late, so I need to allow the ball to come like almost under my eyes or slightly past it to kind of tap it down to third man. I would probably have to come inside the line and tuck it behind square for a single. If the ball's pitched up, to trust myself to just go over it, because I may not get 4, but I probably will get 2, so I'd actually practice to that extent, rather than just trying to feel good about it. But sometimes batting is not about feeling good. Sometimes feeling good is about being able to, have the grit to grind it out, and then get the scores and even get ugly runs. And that's the beauty about cricket, right? You can have an ugly day and still get runs and still win a game. You'll still do your job for the team and for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that's what leads on for you. Like when you like won that orange cap playing in the IPL, it's not always going to be beautiful cricket shots. You can be on 20 and you could have 3 outside edges for 4. So that's the mentality. It's like, it's funny because when you're bowling well or batting well and you've got runs on the board previous games, there's no pressure on you. And them edges often go for 4. Whereas when you're not in form, like the edges go to hands. So it's like the mentality shifts. So it's like, it's funny though, like on that wicket, if I'm playing on a flat pitch and I'm expecting the batsman to dominate the majority of the game, it's funny your mindset. If I was playing on that wicket, there's kind of more pressure on a bowler because all you have to do is run up and hit the length. So from the outside, if you end up getting smacked, it's like, well, what did I do wrong? I must have missed my length by a while to get hit. When we looked at the people, the bowlers who struggled on that pitch or went for 10s, it's because they were trying, maybe I'll try too much. And rather just keeping it simple, I'm just going to hit the stumps, because if I hit that line and length with a wobble seam, cross seam, it's actually going to come off on 3 different variations. It might bounce high, bounce low, or might move side to side. So for me, there's more pressure on the bowler because all I need to do is run up and smack the length. And whereas on a flat pitch, it's like, it's do you know what I mean? On a flat pitch, it's like, well, the batter's meant to smack it.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing, right? So, and this often happens. We've seen this happen so often in cricket when the conditions are kind of helpful to the bowlers. They kind of go off, right? And they kind of go off and try so many things, and they're desperate to kind of get wickets, make an impact. And sometimes it comes out of keenness to kind of maximize your opportunity of getting a good wicket to exploit. That's when you need most discipline. Right, and we see that even with batters. When a batter's coming up on a flat batting track, you just want to play every shot that you know, right? if you know 15 shots, you want to play all 15. That's where if you want a big score, you need to have the discipline to say, okay, you know what? This is the kind of wicket that I'm playing on. It's a belter of a wicket. I also have these bowlers bowling to me. These bowlers on this wicket, I have about 10 shots. Out of 10 shots, I can probably play 6 of these shots. I'm going to keep my run scoring to just 6 of these shots. Right? I'm not going to go beyond these 6 shots. I'm going to stay disciplined to these 6 shots. And then if I'm able to do that, I'm certain I'm going to give myself the best chance to maximize my score. You look at people who've got double hundreds, triple hundreds in test matches on flat decks. It takes immense amount of discipline. It takes immense amount of self-control to not go after something. right? You'll see they'll
Yeah.
score 200 out of playing just 3 shots or 4 shots. It's the same thing with the fast bowlers. You see the best the guys, or bowlers for that matter. The bowlers who bowled the best on that track were whom? It was the likes of Trent Bolt. It was the likes of
Adam Milne. Yeah.
Sunil bowled really well. But what do? They didn't do anything but just hit the right length. What's his name? Romario Shepherd. Romario he went for, one for spit in 4 overs, right?
Crazy.
And then they didn't do anything different. The wicket is doing enough. There were enough variations on the wicket to say, I don't need to do anything. I just need to hit that length, hit back of a length. It'll do its own thing. Some of the young Americans who were impressive was for me Abhimanyu Lamba from TSK. Again, just hit the right lengths. Didn't try too much. Was calm. It's very easy to get overexcited on a track that you feel like, okay, helps me. But to stay disciplined is what's key. Milne was another one who just again hit that same length.
Yeah, county cricket, test match length, the wicket's going to do it for me. But the batsman did get stuck, and it's amazing how that trickles down into the dressing room, to the dugout for the batsmen that are coming in. They sometimes change their mindset, except someone like a Kieron Pollard and obviously Corey Anderson, who Kieron Pollard's got that 100 in Dallas and then obviously won that game here. It's amazing how he learns how to navigate it. He puts the bad ball away, but he's not just he doesn't just hit big bombs. He's actually a clever cricketer, right? That's why he's got so many runs in the game. He showed how you can bat on that pitch alongside Muknamala. And you had, who else did we have? Sanjay Krishnamurthy, who scored runs on it as youngsters.
That last game,
So they're the kind of the kids that impressed me. The bowlers were good, as you said. Jesse Singh, again, as a USA player, outstanding, picked up wickets in crucial moments. We also had, you know what we had there? We had 4 wickets in 4 balls, which is crazy also. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've had 2 hat-tricks in this competitions, but it's outstanding. I'm switching gears here a little bit. Let's talk about how big this game is in terms of England versus India. And obviously we got the youngster made his debut. There's so much pressure on his shoulders, but he's just a kid who's enjoying the game, who's someone special. What's your thoughts on that, making his debut, man?
Man, I'm very, very happy for him. I think he's one of those, I think multi-generational talents that come into the sport. And we've been fortunate enough in India that we've had a few come through, once every couple of generations. And like, I think, Sachin was perhaps the last one. And then, Virat was a self-made kind of cricketer. But, Vaibhav's truly one of those guys who stands out, we thought Prithvi Shaw could be one of them, but it wasn't to be. But Vaibhav is like, there's something about him as a 16-year-old that is highly impressive. Is that one is, his ability with the bat, and you can say that there's a natural ability there that he's blessed with, and it feels like that natural ability is kind of lined up for T20 cricket, right? It feels like that. Second thing is he's really astute with his shot making and working around his limitations. There are limitations that he's got, but for a fact that he will work those limitations out. And for a 15-year-old to be able to do that is highly impressive, is rare. Third, that I know because of speaking to him and speaking about him to other people, is that he's got immense amount of self-belief and conviction. For that to for you to find that in a 15-year-old, you won't make it at the international level if you don't have that level of conviction in yourself and in your own game. And that's something that really stands out for me, for someone like Vaibhav. And I think he's going to thrive. I think you've seen him. He's very clear about his approach. It seems one-dimensional, but I think it will mature over a period of time. It'll get nuanced over a period of time. He'll take a little bit more responsibility, and we've seen him do that at a not the international level yet, but I think at the IPL level, we've seen him do that, where he's taken ownership a little bit. And I know for a fact that he's gone and told people that don't worry, I'm going to score, I'm going to win this match for us, and he's gone out there and done it. That's the kind of conviction he has as a 15-year-old, and he said that to his coach. He said that to his peers when he went out there.
Wow.
To kind of know that here's a kid who's taking ownership at that level is phenomenal. And so he doesn't like losing. You can see it in his face. He won't like being in that situation where he's playing for India and India's losing. So I think that we've only begun on this beautiful roller coaster ride that will be Vaibhav Sooryavanshi, and it'll be and I would love to journey with him as a fan, as an analyst, through all the highs and lows, and just kind of enjoy it, to be honest.
No, as you said, it's just me from watching from afar, and then obviously speaking to cricketers who bowled against him, and then you're watching clips of him facing like Jofra in practice and how he just like goes about it. It's crazy. He's so skillful. His hands are so quick. For me, like I think I know a little bit about this, but in terms of like the pathway in the UK and America, it's just like if you're in the UK, you're going to play club cricket, you're going to play junior club cricket, then you get picked up for a county team. And then obviously you're in the county academy system. Then you get picked from the second team. Then you'll play county first team. And then if you're good enough, you play for England or England Lions. England in USA, the pipeline is you're playing local cricket, club cricket, and that can be on AstroTurf, on some concrete wickets. You're going to get picked up for minor league and major league, and then potentially USA cricket. In terms of in India, because there's so many people who are so good at cricket, what is that pipeline like? Because for me, I didn't really play school cricket. It wasn't really a thing I did. Maybe down south in the private schools, it was a big, it's like you get picked because you're good at college or you're good at high school. That wasn't a thing for me. In terms of your pathway or in generally the people who go to play for India, what's that pipeline like?
So there is a pathway that's a little bit more structural in nature, where you play school cricket and then you play district level cricket, and then you play for state. From state, you kind of graduate to your first class probables, which is considered your second 11s and all of that. And then the under 19s, the under 17s, the under 19s kind of matter a lot. From the under 19s is where you kind of jump on to mainstream cricket. That's first class cricket. But the guys who actually make it to the top, Liam, are not the guys who necessarily go through the traditional pathway system that's there. The guys who make it to the top are the ones who dominate these systems, right? The ones who stand out and have dominant years and dominant seasons consistently. So everyone who ends up playing for India are guys who've dominated the ecosystem to some degree, and they've done it. They've done at least 80% of people who've made it there are guys who've dominated it. Some people have gotten into the system and then had great seasons and then kind of gotten picked. Some people who've dominated under 19 cricket coming through as a I wouldn't say, maybe a prodigy of sorts in comparison to the rest of the world, where they're like, hey, here's this exciting youngster who looks like he can make it big at this level, and then you're 19, 20 when you 20, 21 when you end up playing for the country. For me, the difference in India is that the ones who dominate are basically the outliers, and the outliers kind of get a good look in because you're always looking for the next most exciting thing in a sea of competitors, right? It's a massive, like the volume of cricketers in India are tremendous, right?
Crazy.
So like we have more cricketers playing cricket in Bangalore than there are cricketers playing in Australia.
That's crazy. That's mental.
So
that's mental. That's crazy, isn't it? Like there's so many people and of such a high caliber playing in India. And as you said, that under 19s, it's kind of, if you're playing under 19s cricket for India, you're kind of famous, right? I guess people recognize you because you represent your country. It's like a massive thing. When you talk about the guys like who were captain like UC and Smith Patel, Harmeet Singh, at the point when they came across here, there was so like kind of people knew them for playing under 19s cricket, which in the UK is kind of different because if I played under 19s cricket in the UK, I might have played a tiny bit of county cricket. I might have played second team. So like, you're not like you're like a huge star, but it's so different in India. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's very different in India. It comes with its good pros and its cons. You can slip through the cracks as easily. And if you have, for example, if you're an incredible player and you've had an off season in your under 19 World Cup year, then you have to kind of go and rug it out in the domestic circuit and hopefully get in there. So the under 19 World Cup and the under 19 India kind of opportunity is a big kind of it's a big kind of lift to your own career. It kind of stands as a strong pedestal for you to kind of portray your skills and show how good you are, because a lot of the scouting also for the IPL happens in that tournament, and today the players are well aware of that. So as a 15-year-old, if you want to play the IPL, then you know that from 15 to 19 is going to be crucial years for you. So you kind of set yourself up to a place where you work in yourself, you bring yourself to a strong place as far as your game is concerned till the age of 15. And then from the age of 15 and 15 to 18, you're focusing a lot more on performances and competitive performances. And then so the mindset becomes such a huge play, right? Your mentality and the conviction part of your game and understanding of your game, all of that happens very young. Because if you're good, then if you stand out, then you'll be given the opportunity. I can talk for myself. I was 16 when I played first class cricket, and I kept doing well in under 17 India, under 17 for my state in Karnataka. Did really well, had standout seasons, was dominating the scene there, and then suddenly a captain of the first class team got injured. And they needed an opening batter replacement. They decided to give me an opportunity. And I went and scored an unbeaten 60 or some 40 deliveries in 2001, 2002, which people were like, who the heck is this kid? And then that kind of catapulted me into, first class cricket. And then in another 2 months, I made my first class debut,
Crazy. Yeah, it's funny, like my story as well is I was quite small. And I joined Durham Academy as batting number 3, and I bowled little medium paces with the keeper stood up. And then all of a sudden, my coach was so strung upon like fitness, and like as I was doing the fitness, I grew. And then obviously, I remember bowling a bouncer, and the keeper was stood up, and it hit the keeper on the head, and he went back ever since then. So it's like all of a sudden, I went as an all-rounder batting 3 to like, okay, you're going to bat number 8. And now that you've grown, we're going to put you straight into the first team. And I made my debut playing against Yorkshire, against Vaibhav Singh, who was obviously a mega star, like breaking onto the scene there, dominating ODIs and cricket in India. And it's amazing that path is like, I think I was going to be playing for England in the future, number 3. I was going to be the next whatever. And then it completely went the other way, and you grow and you become a fast bowler. It's amazing how sometimes your life deviates to what you think it's going to be, right? Like you want to be this type of player, then all of a sudden you turn into this player and you got to go with it. But someone as a coach, who's a special coach, sees something for you and he nurtures it. He puts some water on you and says, this is what we think. We can see the skill set in you. And it takes a special coach to see that in a player,
It's vital, right? I think it's amazing. It's such a great story. It's amazing what role a coach plays, and a good coach plays in an athlete's career, right? The right kind of guidance, but also to give them the ability to continue, like to just kind of be there as a guiding light, but yet kind of share enough knowledge for the athlete to make that decision on their own. And great coaches do that. They kind of know when to step in and step back, and give cricketers autonomy over their own careers. And it's such a fascinating journey, right? From a kid who is just bowling medium pace and batting at number 3 to just starting to train and then suddenly having a growth spurt and then bowling much quicker, and then by virtue of that, making it to the team. And then your life changing from being a batter who can bowl to becoming an all rounder to a bowler who can bat. And then playing for England like that. Yeah, changes, right?
Yeah, it changes, doesn't it? And it does change. Last one for me, obviously on this little segment here, is India coming to England and playing against India. It's something different. You have the Ashes, right? Like you have the rivalry between England and Australia. But when India come to town and what that brings in terms of the fan base, in terms of like how much intensity it is on it, because also you're playing against India, and in the back of your mind, it's one day it's T20 cricket. But IPL scouts are also looking at the English players, right? Like, so it's like, for me, you're playing against such a powerhouse team. You've got all these superstars who are the biggest people across India, as big as Bollywood stars, and all of a sudden you're playing against them. And it brings that this is not the right terminology, but like the circus of the cameras, the action, the lights. So it's always so special to play against the best people in England. What, in terms of playing cricket in England, how did you find coming across and playing England in India? England versus India in England.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun, man. I think the rivalry is only kind of growing that much more right now. I think the rivalry is actually getting a little bit more intense. There's a period of time where, I remember the early 2000s where it felt like England had the rub on India. But that's changed, right? It's changed quite a bit, and I feel like India's kind of dominating the scene right now. But it's good to see that there's a sense of rivalry that's growing between these two teams, which is really enjoyable to watch. I think it's gonna bring out some really great games like we saw in the previous one. I think as an Indian, we feel like it's unacceptable for India to have that kind of a game. But when you think about the brand of cricket that they're playing, it's very foreseeable that they would have ended up having a game like that at some point or the other, because everyone has decided to play and focus a lot more on strike rates than about playing conditions and taking the team through. So you are going to see games like that, and you got to make peace with it and say, okay, there are going to be days like that. But overall, there needs to be someone, I think, who takes ownership there. But it makes for such great cricket. In that game, if you saw even the way Phil Salt batted, Phil Salt couldn't get off the blocks in the first 6 overs, but he dug in. Right, there was grit and determination there. He dug in. He played the conditions a little bit, and then ended up scoring 70 or 42 deliveries. That kind of character is always going to be required in a sport like cricket. You can never not do with that kind of character. I think at the end of the day, one of the things you will realize is that until the game becomes non-variable as far as conditions are concerned, the conditions will always dictate how the game is played. And as far as the rivalries goes, as far as England and India are concerned, I think that's a rivalry to watch out for. I think it's always going to, be great cricket to kind of watch from the outside. Then the Ashes rivalry is going to be big. The India-Australia Border-Gavaskar rivalry is going to be big as well. Tendulkar-Anderson rivalry, as we know it right now, is going to be big. I think there are going to be 4 or 5 countries are going to have rivalry amongst each other that will make international cricket very, very interesting to watch.
Yeah, just from my point as well, it's like since the England players have been in the IPL, like playing a lot of games for different franchises, how their skill set has got so much better, how England have become more well-rounded. Your Joss Butlers, your Phil Salts, even Bethel, who's in there with the best players in the world, the best Indian batsmen. You got Kohli teaching them different stuff. So in terms of how good that has helped English cricket evolve and get better is huge to help our game, which helped England become a better T20 team, a better ODI team because of what the IPL offered them as in like a skill set to become better. So we're very thankful for that, right? In terms of, yes, you're going across, you want to get a pay packet, but in terms of cricket and development, unbelievable, untouched.
Yeah, I think initially a lot of the foreigners who were coming in were thinking that, okay, it pays well, so we're going to go there. But right now they understand the value of it, adding that it adds to not just, what they earn in a year, but also how much they end up growing as athletes that help them earn that much more everywhere else that they go. There's a lot more of an acceptance that, hey, this builds my game, this grows my game. This is not just a money gig anymore, And they come in there and the approach to playing the IPL today from people who come from abroad are a lot more different than what it used to be in the past.